Hi there.
Hello there.
Last week we spoke about meaningful rest uh, and why, in general, we often struggle to take a break, to feel that we are lazy, that we're not responsible. There's such a lot of issues that come to the fore the moment we talk about that and our labor and being productive and useful and all those things. And then um, we said, um, well, it helps to become aware in the first place.
Yeah, so I think the main thing is that we had very interesting feedback on the conversation.
Mm, mm,
And what was really interesting is that I want to say 100% of the feedback was from women or that struggle with the same thing,
mm,
that feel that they really don't ever have any time off, in the sense that there's always something to do. There's always something that needs their attention. So
and that's the way they perceive it.
that's the way they perceive it, and that's the way they live their lives. So it was nothing new to them. It was like, of course, that's the way I feel. But then also very interesting feedback from someone that said, but they were actually shocked because they thought that with us living a contemplative life at a retreat center, that we would have these things down pat, that
Mm.
these shouldn't be things that we struggle with. And I
And
thought
just to
about
say, that's just the tip of the
that's the
iceberg.
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of other things that we struggle with as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say,
Yeah.
we really human. So, but then what I realized in thinking about it is that actually the fact that I am aware of this,
Yes.
the fact that before in my life that would just be my life.
Mm.
I was in no way aware that this shouldn't be so, that there should be space, that I should feel that I am able to take a break. That was just not part of my life.
Mm.
So there really wasn't any awareness of that. And like everything, like we always say with the Enneagram, all of those, that awareness comes first. Awareness
Mm.
is the thing. Awareness actually, without blowing my own horn, does actually indicate some growth.
Yes.
To be aware that this shouldn't be so. I should get to a place where rest is one of the most important things that I can do
Mm.
and should be doing. And yeah,
Mm.
what's the word? Um, yeah, that I'm worth that I should be
Mm.
doing that. It's yeah.
Mm.
So I think in terms of that, I don't feel too bad about it.
But,
But I think then
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt there, but I think it's so important what you touch upon because it also implies this is like a spider's web. You touch on the one
Mm,
thread,
mm,
and the whole thing is
mm,
stirring and moving. Because when there's awareness,
mm.
it doesn't mean you've sorted it out now.
No, you just you're in
You're
this groove.
starting to work
Yeah.
on it and so on,
Mm,
but awareness also helps to counter blind spots.
yes. And
Because,
in a certain sense, the ego structure that's putting this in place all the time,
yes,
um, the hold gets less fierce. So it lets go because you are actually becoming aware of where this thing is trapping you all the time.
yeah, because there's a few things happening here. There's this awareness. I can't carry on working, being productive. As a human being, a knowledgeable human being, I know it's important to
Mm,
rest. You know that,
mm,
but I don't do it.
mm.
There are red lights flickering when we justify the things that we know isn't good for us.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say that's pretty much how I was living before in my previous life.
Yeah.
So, but let's just get to this. So this week's conversation flows from that conversation, really, in the sense that um, that we're looking at what it means actually to inhabit our lives,
Yes. To
what
be
it
fully
what
human.
it means to be fully human, and how these things, like this belief of always having to be productive, actually is something that's not human. It's an inhuman um,
Mm.
trait.
Mm.
We cannot work 24/7 all our lives.
Mm.
It's just not possible.
Mm.
So to do that means you must be a machine.
Yes.
So this conversation of this week is about that. Um, and maybe you could say something about the term that we
Yes.
came across.
Because we had this wonderful feedback and conversations flowing from last week's recording. And in the course of this week, we came across something that we've read and a term that we're not that familiar with. I would say it's a term to get used to, and that is existential health,
Mm.
which means how do you live your life?
Your reality.
Your
How
reality.
do you actually um, um, is in touch with what is real in your life?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And it has uh, uh, cross points, and it touches on the field of psychology and physiology and all of that. But it is, how do you live your life
How healthy
meaningful?
is your experience of being human?
Exactly, exactly. And the one thing, the first thing listed in the few traits of uh, existential health is to be in touch with your reality,
Yeah, with what is so the truth of your reality.
with the truth of your
Yeah. So
reality,
not what you perceive is expected of you,
or
not
what you avoid.
what you avoid, what you don't, what you ignore. What is in my life, and how do I go about that? How do I accept that?
Yes.
How am I honest with what's real in my life?
Mm,
All those aspects.
exactly,
And the
exactly.
more we are distanced from the truth of our reality, the more we actually missing out on being fully human, of
And
the experience of being human.
yes, and do and the farther we move away from existential health,
Yeah, the more unhealthy we live in.
when we constantly justify the way we live and work, although we know it's not good for our health, although we know it's not good for relationships in my family, at work, or whatever, it gives an indication. Yes, something needs to be
Mm,
addressed.
mm.
Um, so if we very, very protective about certain things or precious about certain things, don't talk about that. You're picking on me or whatever. Why are you so sensitive about that?
Mm, mm.
Um, when people say, "Yeah, but it's difficult to live with you in the house because
You
you so and
touchy, yeah.
you touchy or whatever," and you justify it and defend it, then. But if you say, "All right, is it reasonable to be constantly working?" No, it's not. I'm a knowledgeable person. I know it's not good for
Mm.
me.
So if that's your belief, then you are not in touch with your reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it
And
and
that
it
actually flows into the next one.
where it goes about a borrowed truth
Mm.
and an inauthentic, I think that's the term, or an inauthentic author of your own life.
Yeah.
One has to be the true author of your life.
Yeah. So living your life from not borrowed beliefs, not borrowed truths. Like say in my case, my dad didn't feel that reading a book, lying in your bed, reading a book in the afternoons is a meaningful way of spending a day.
Exactly.
So a borrowed truth for me became that to read a book is wasting time,
Yes. Unproductive.
unproductive time. There's more important things.
We
So
can even go further. It's lazy.
it's laziness. Yeah. So that was not my truth. That was a borrowed truth, and in a sense, I was also writing my life from that truth. So
Yes.
it was an inauthentic. I was an inauthentic author then,
Yes.
because that was my assumption of life.
Yeah.
Anything must have meaning, must be productive, must cannot only be about my own enjoyment. Um, and that greatly influences us.
Yes, it does. It's about your existence. It's
Yeah,
about your life.
yeah.
And therefore, existential health is so important.
Mm.
Uh, we see too many people, or we are aware in a number of ways, we are aware of people not living good lives.
Mm.
They buy into culture, narratives, and keeping up with the Joneses, or whatever you want to call it. But that's not your truth necessary. That's buying into somebody else's truth.
And it's what it means actually is that you will have to look at your reality
Yes.
and look at the things that you are living, and really make sure whether they are your truths or not,
Yes.
whether they are believed or whether they have been borrowed.
Yeah.
And that is quite a big thing to be doing with your life. It's
Yeah.
an important thing.
Yeah. And just to end off, that awareness
Mm.
is part of a much bigger process, because there's this awareness, and then, all right, how am I going to address it? How am I going to change certain things? How am I to grow? And that's a lifelong process. I mean, it took decades for the one message to be ingrained in our
Just to
lives.
get to awareness.
Exactly.
To
Exactly.
get to awareness, it took a lifetime already.
Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Always lovely to have these conversations and to hear from your side how you see and experience it. Thank you very much for that. And next week we'll talk again.
Keep well, everyone.